Hey there, it looks like you're having a really tough moment. Can I help?
I lost her. I can't find her and I'm so scared.
Seattle, drizzle. After a 14-hour sprint, Noah Sterling, hoodie-wearing CEO, ducks into a 24-hour store for ginger and granola. At self-checkout, a 6-year-old clutches a cracked robot keychain, counting beeps like dinners. He isn't begging. A crumpled hospital slip falls from his pocket. Noah kneels. In 1 minute, does he buy food and walk away, or change what happens next? The office windows held the city like a dim aquarium, rain sliding down the glass in thin, patient lines. Noah Sterling stood at the whiteboard in his hoodie and dark jeans, the marker cap clicking in his fingers. He had the look of a distance runner at the last mile, lean and focused, hazel eyes pared down to what mattered. The model on his screen had finally converged. The room smelled faintly of coffee and dry erase ink. Everyone else had left hours ago. He rubbed the bridge of his nose behind minimalist frames and glanced at the corner desk, at the neat stack of proposals waiting for signatures. Enterprise. Clients wanted prediction, not compassion. The board loved words like runway, sales velocity, and security posture. He could speak that language in his sleep. He just wished it did not sound so far from the project he'd shelved last quarter, the one meant to guide families to food and shelter with the quiet accuracy of good weather. His phone buzzed. Jada from Ops, her voice soft with end-of-day gravel. "Go home, boss. Eat something that isn't code 5 minutes," he said. "Maybe 10. You said that 30 minutes ago." He smiled at the window. "I'll actually do it. Take your backpack. And please don't forget dinner again." When the call ended, silence settled in, the warm kind that used to live in diners at midnight. He could see it the way memory lets you. A little boy in a vinyl booth, legs not touching the floor, counting the ring of the service bell each time a plate was ready. His mother at the grill, hair pulled back, a smile she saved for him when she turned. Someone had once noticed him, a regular who slid a plate of pancakes to the boy and said, "That looks like a hard day. Let's make it easier." He did not remember the man's name. He remembered that feeling. Being seen costs nothing and changes everything. On his desk sat the prototype photo, a postcard from a past version of himself. A small robot with friendly eyes, meant to live beside grocery scanners and clinic kiosks, whispering directions when the world felt loud. The project was paused. The economy was not romantic. He slipped the photo under a stack of contracts as if hiding a child from a storm. The backpack leaned against his chair. Black canvas, a narrow stitched loop near the zipper where a badge or charm might hang. The loop had nothing on it. The empty circle looked like a question mark without the dot. He ran a thumb over it, then set the bag on the desk and opened his laptop again. A tiny sticker inside the lid. An old robot sketch he'd drawn on the back of a receipt had started to curl at the edges. He pressed it flat. He did not know why that made him feel steadier, only that it did. Another buzz. A text from Rafi, the board member who spoke in outcomes. Push enterprise. Leave social services to social services. Tomorrow's meeting will be about focus. Noah typed and erased 3 replies. He left the screen blank. He knew what he believed, but belief is easier than budgets. He took a breath, slow and even. The company had grown past the point where he could do it all by instinct. Yet instinct was the reason the company existed. He powered down the screens and the office shifted from blue light to evening hush. He gathered his hoodie tighter at the neck and scanned the room for a reason to stall. A ginger root sat near the window, the start of a hydroponic experiment someone had abandoned. Its scent made him think of tea his mother brewed when his chest hurt in winter. He couldn't remember the last time he made tea. He couldn't remember the last time dinner felt like a pause instead of a placeholder. He slipped his laptop into the bag, the zipper catching and then smoothing closed. He switched off the lamps, leaving only the glow from the hallway exit sign. The door clicked as he pulled it shut. In the elevator lobby, the air felt cooler, heavy with rain and building cleaner. He could still return to his desk, answer the Rafi text, pretend that choices could be postponed. He could also step outside, let the drizzle wash the static off his skin, and buy ginger and something simple from somewhere still awake. He pressed the elevator button and watched the numbers fall. Some nights, a life turns not with thunder, but with a quiet door, a lit street, and an ordinary errand that refuses to stay ordinary. The drizzle in Seattle was the kind that blurred the edges of street lamps and made car roofs glisten like slate. Noah pulled his hoodie tight as he stepped out of the garage, preferring the walk to the drive. 14 hours at a desk had left his legs restless, the runner in him needing air, even if it came damp and cold. His sneakers whispered against the sidewalk, and the city hummed its usual nocturnal rhythm. Buses sighing at stops, a delivery truck rattling past, a couple laughing too loud outside a bar. He could have ordered groceries delivered, but there was something about walking into a store, picking up ginger, feeling its weight and texture. After so many hours with abstractions, he craved the ordinary, the tactile. Harbor Mart's neon sign blinked ahead, stubborn against the rain. He pushed the glass door open, the warmth of fluorescent light and stale popcorn sweeping over him. Inside, the store carried its own midnight symphony. A floor buffer whirred down one aisle. A college student in sweatpants argued softly with her phone tucked between cheek and shoulder. A cashier scanned items with mechanical rhythm, her nails tapping against the plastic keys. Noah moved through the aisles slowly, choosing granola, ginger, root, a carton of oat milk. He paused at the tea shelf, fingers brushing labels, and picked one with honey and lemon printed in soft script. He could almost hear his mother's voice when he read the word lemon. "Don't forget to balance bitter with sweet, Noah. That's how the world works too." He smiled at the memory, slipped the box into his basket, and headed toward the self-checkout. That was when he noticed the boy. Near the cluster of beeping machines, on the floor by the candy rack, a child sat cross-legged, hugging something in his small hands. The boy couldn't have been more than 6, his jeans scuffed at the knees, his hair a tangle of dark curls. He wasn't crying, he wasn't calling out. His eyes simply tracked the sound of each beep, one by one, as though they were counting something only he understood. Noah slowed, watching carefully. Staff passed him without pause, one cashier giving a brief nod as if to say, "He's fine, just waiting." But Noah's gaze caught the object in the boy's hands, a cracked plastic robot keychain, the kind you won from an arcade or bought in a gas station years ago. The edges were worn smooth from use, one eye rubbed nearly invisible. The boy tightened his grip every time a beep sounded, lips moving silently as if tallying invisible numbers. Noah's chest tightened. Something about the quiet focus, the small dignity of the act, pulled him back to his own nights in a diner booth. Counting plates, counting moments. Pretending waiting wasn't hunger. He set his basket on the counter and crouched low, balancing on the balls of his feet so he wouldn't loom. "Hey there," he said softly, his voice even, warm. "That robot looks like it's been through a few adventures." The boy looked up, startled at first, then settled. His voice came barely above a whisper. "I like the sounds." "The beeps. They sound like people are about to eat dinner." Noah swallowed. It wasn't a request, not even close to begging, just a fact, shaped by hunger, spoken with the clarity only children had. "Dinner's important," Noah said. He nodded toward his own basket. "I'm picking up some things for mine." "You want to help me choose?" The boy's eyes flicked to the basket, then back to his robot. He shook his head, small, protective. Noah tilted his head, choosing his words with care. "Tell you what. My team at work, we need a taste tester. A really good one. Think you'd be up for that?" The boy blinked. Something in his posture shifted, the tiniest flicker of curiosity breaking through the guarded stillness. And in that fragile moment, under the hum of fluorescent lights and the steady rhythm of self-checkout beeps, the night's detour began to bend toward something neither of them could yet name. The boy's gaze lingered on the basket, then down at his robot keychain. His small fingers tapped its cracked side as if asking it for permission. Finally, he whispered, "If I pick, it has to be stuff that fills up." Noah nodded, keeping his tone light. "That's the best way to test. Can't have our AI recommending snacks that leave you hungry." The boy hesitated, then stood. He was smaller than Noah expected, his sneakers worn thin, one lace trailing. He padded toward the aisle, Noah following at a respectful distance. The boy chose soft dinner rolls, holding the bag like treasure. Then a bunch of bananas, bright yellow against his hand. Yogurt cups came next, plain, no sugar. He paused a long while at the hot food counter before finally pointing to the rotisserie chicken, its skin golden under heat lamps. And last, a carton of soup, his face serious, as though sealing the list. "That's 5, Noah said, counting each on his fingers. "Strong choices." He slipped a box of ginger tea into the pile. "And this, for balance." At the checkout, Noah paid without drawing attention, sliding his card swiftly and tucking the receipt into his hoodie pocket. He asked the clerk for an extra bag and let the boy place each item inside, as though it were his own mission. The boy clutched the handles, arms straining but determined. Noah crouched again. "What's your name?" The boy glanced down as if considering whether names could be trusted. "Milo. Good to meet you, Milo." "I'm Noah." He offered a hand, not pushing. Milo's small fingers shook against his palm before withdrawing quickly, back to gripping the bag. They stepped outside into drizzle, the store's neon humming above. Milo stood quiet, his frame almost lost against the glass doors. He shifted the bag to one hand and pulled something from his pocket, a crumpled slip of paper, soft with handling. He held it out, almost reluctantly. "This says my mom's name. Ana Morales. She went in the ambulance yesterday. They didn't let me ride." His voice caught, but didn't break. "I followed, but I lost them. Came back here, 'cause the lights stay on." Noah took the slip carefully. It was an ER intake form, creased and smudged but legible. Ana Morales. Date, time, key, the cold stamp of emergency. Noah's throat tightened. He exhaled slowly, steadying himself. This wasn't just hunger, it was separation, a child orbiting a hospital without gravity to hold him. He crouched to Milo's level again, rain dampening his hoodie. "You did something brave, Milo. But we've got to do it right. First thing, we make sure your mom's safe, okay?" Milo's eyes flickered, a flash of trust wrestling with fear. He nodded once, clutching the bag. Noah stood, scanning the parking lot. He spotted the shift manager near the carts and waved him over. "Can you grab security?" His tone was calm but firm. "We need to confirm a patient's location. Non-emergency line first." The manager frowned but nodded, pulling his radio. Within minutes, a security guard joined them, phone pressed to his ear. Milo stood small between them, the bag of food like armor. As the guard spoke with the hospital operator, Noah rested a hand lightly on Milo's shoulder, not to steer, just to anchor. Milo glanced up, then back, down at his robot keychain, squeezing it tight. When the guard hung up, he nodded. "She's at Harborview. Stable, but still under observation. Social worker on call." Noah exhaled, relief tempered with resolve. "Good. Let's get Milo there properly. Safe transport, chain of record. No shortcuts." The drizzle thickened, streetlights haloed in wet air. Milo leaned against Noah's side for the first time, the bag heavy in his arms, his robot keychain clicking faintly against the plastic. Noah tightened his grip on the intake slip. Tonight's detour wasn't about ginger and granola anymore. It was about doing right by a boy who had been seen, finally, by someone who refused to walk away. The drive to Harborview was arranged faster than Noah expected. A city security transport van pulled up, its headlights slicing the drizzle. Milo climbed in with the grocery bag on his lap, clutching it like a shield. Noah slid into the back seat beside him, the intake slip folded carefully in his pocket. The guard rode up front, speaking into a radio. The hum of the van filled the silence until Milo's voice slipped out, quiet, almost uncertain. "Do you think they'll let me see her?" Noah leaned slightly closer, his tone even. "That's what we're going to find out, and we'll do it the right way." Milo nodded, small curls damp against his forehead. He tapped his robot keychain against the bag in rhythm with the road bumps. When they arrived, the hospital entrance glowed sterile white against the rain-soaked night. Automatic doors slid open with a sigh, welcoming them into the scent of antiseptic and coffee gone stale. Nurses moved briskly, clipboards in hand, voices lowered but urgent. A woman in a cardigan with a hospital badge approached. Ms. Patel, the overnight social worker. She crouched down immediately, her eyes level with Milo's. "You must be Milo." "I've been worried about you." Milo shifted his weight, uncertain. He looked up at Noah, then back at her. I stayed where the lights." Our Ms. Patel's eyes softened. "That was smart. Thank you for holding on." She glanced at Noah, silently asking for context. Noah handed her the intake slip. "I found him at Harbor Mart. He showed me this. We called ahead, confirmed his mother is here. Ms. Patel studied him with quick calculation, assessing if he was safe, if he was steady." "And you are?" "Noah Sterling. Just someone who didn't want to leave him alone." Something in the way he said it, measured, clear, without agenda, made her shoulders ease. She nodded. "Thank you for not taking him straight home. That happens more often than you'd think. Protocol matters." She led them to a small family room off the main corridor. It smelled faintly of microwaved meals and wool blankets. A vending machine hummed in the corner, half lit. She fetched Milo a tray from the overnight kitchen. Hot mac and cheese, an apple, a carton of milk. Milo's eyes widened, but he didn't move until Noah nudged gently. "It's yours, Milo." "Go ahead," the boy sat at the low table and ate slowly, savoring every bite like it might vanish if he hurried. His shoulders began to loosen, the grocery bag still at his side, the robot keychain resting by his plate. Ms. Patel pulled a blanket from the cabinet and draped it around Milo's shoulders. Then she turned to Noah. "We'll keep him here until his mother stabilizes. He'll need an emergency contact on file until she's able to sign herself. Would you be willing, just temporarily?" Noah hesitated only a breath before nodding. "Yes. Whatever keeps things moving safely." She scribbled on a form, her tone both grateful and brisk. "Good. And thank you for following procedure. Too many think kindness means skipping the steps, but this is how trust is built." Across the room, Milo set down his fork and whispered, almost to himself, "It's warm." Noah watched him, the words settling heavy in his chest. Warm wasn't just temperature. Warm was safety. Warm was not being invisible. He glanced at Miss Patel. If there are other families waiting here, I can cover meals. Food vouchers, something practical." Her pen paused mid-note. She studied him again, something curious flickering in her gaze. "That's generous. But most people don't ask about systemic help." Noah's lips curved in a small, knowing smirk, the same expression he wore in boardrooms when challenging the easy answer. "If we can build AI to predict markets, we can build systems that keep kids from sleeping under fluorescent lights. Feels like the same category to me." Ms. Patel tilted her head as if filing that line away. "I'll hold you to that." Milo leaned back in the chair, blanket draped like a cape, his robot keychain in his palm. He whispered again, not looking up this time. "She's gonna wake up." She has to. Noah's gaze softened, anchored by the memory of a diner booth long ago. He sat down across from Milo, steady as stone. "She will. And when she does, you'll be right here." The fluorescent hum faded into silence between them, the night bending into something more than just a detour. The family room grew quiet after Milo finished his tray, the hum of the vending machine the only sound. He held his robot keychain in one hand, tracing its cracks with his thumb, the other clutching the blanket close. His eyelids drooped, heavy from food and exhaustion, but every time they fell shut, he forced them open again. Noah watched from the opposite chair, his own hoodie damp around the shoulders, his mind restless but steady. He knew better than to crowd the boy, so he let silence do the work. After a while, Milo whispered, "Do you ever eat dinner alone?" The question struck sharper than expected. Noah folded his hands together. "More often than I should." Milo nodded, like that was an answer he recognized. "Me too. But when the beeps happen, it feels like maybe I'm in a family line, like I belong in the sound." Noah's throat tightened. He leaned forward slightly, his voice gentle. "Then tonight, you're not eating. Alone. You tested the rolls, the chicken, the soup. That counts as family dinner in my book." A faint smile flickered across Milo's face, gone in an instant. But it was there. The door opened softly. Ms. Patel stepped back in with updated notes. "Anna Morales is still under observation. No visitors until morning rounds." She glanced at Milo, then at Noah. "He should sleep. We'll keep a cot ready here." Milo shook his head stubbornly. "I'll stay up." "What if she wakes up and I miss it?" Ms. Patel crouched, her tone firm but kind. "Your mom will need you rested." "You won't miss her. I'll wake you the moment she asks for you." Still, Milo hesitated. Noah leaned in, adding quietly, "Think of it as charging your battery. Robots don't run if they don't recharge, right?" That earned the smallest laugh. Milo slid under the blanket, curling up on the cot, robot keychain tucked under his chin. His breathing evened out in minutes. When Ms. Patel left again, the room fell into a softer silence. Noah leaned back, staring at the ceiling tiles. Something about this place pulled memories loose, ones he usually kept tucked behind work and deadlines. He saw himself at 7, sitting in a corner booth of a diner that smelled of grease and coffee. His mother had worked the grill until past midnight, apron stained, hair pinned back with a pencil. He remembered the way she looked over every few minutes, giving him a smile that was both apology and promise. Some nights a customer noticed him, slid a plate across with a quiet nod, or ruffled his hair, or simply asked if he was okay. Those moments stayed like carved initials in wood. He had told no one at Lattice Mind about those nights. In boardrooms, vulnerability was a weakness. But here, in this dim family room, the memory felt less like a scar and more like a map. He stood quietly, pulled his phone from his pocket and typed a quick message to Jada, his COO. "We need to revisit the shelved project. I'll explain tomorrow. Non-negotiable." He didn't hit send yet. He let the words sit, glowing against the dark. He thought of Milo's voice, the beeps sound like families about to eat, and decided that was reason enough. He pressed send. A shift of blankets drew his attention. Milo stirred, murmuring in sleep, "Don't leave." Noah whispered back, steady, certain, "I won't." And, for the first time in months, his own chest felt less hollow. He leaned against the wall, the soft glow from the vending machine washing over the cracked robot keychain on Milo's cot. The tiny figure seemed to stare back, fragile but unbroken. Somewhere between memory and promise, Noah realized. This wasn't about charity, it was about dignity. And if he had the power to shape systems that saw people, he couldn't walk away. Not now, not ever. Morning came with the faint chatter of hospital staff changing shifts, shoes squeaking against polished floors. The family room lights had dimmed overnight, but the hum of the vending machine never stopped. Noah sat in the chair, hood pulled up, his laptop bag at his feet. He hadn't really slept, just closed his eyes now and then, listening for Milo's breathing. The boy stirred, blinking in the pale light. His blanket slipped to the side as he sat up, robot keychain clutched tight. "Is it morning?" "Yeah," Noah said softly. "Morning." Milo rubbed his eyes. "Did she wake up?" "Not yet. But we'll hear as soon as she does." Ms. Patel arrived with coffee in one hand, clipboard in the other. She smiled gently at Milo. Good timing. Doctor says your mom is stable. She's still resting, but they'll let you see her after rounds. Milo's shoulders eased, the kind of relief too big for words. He hugged the robot tighter, like it had carried the night for him. Noah exhaled, his own tension loosening. That's good news. Ms. Patel gave Noah a look both appreciative and professional. I also filed you as temporary emergency contact. Thank you for stepping up. It's not just paperwork. It means if decisions come up, before she's fully conscious, we call you. Noah nodded, accepting the weight without hesitation. I'll answer. Milo tugged at his sleeve then, his voice low. She doesn't know you. What if she's scared when she wakes up? That hit harder than expected. Noah crouched, meeting Milo's wary eyes. Then I'll step back. I'm here to help, not to take over, but I promise she'll know you weren't alone. Milo seemed to measure his words, then gave a small nod. Trust, guarded but real. Later that morning, a nurse guided them through a corridor that smelled faintly of bleach and hand sanitizer. They passed rooms lined with monitors and quiet beeps until they reached one where Ana Morales lay resting, her skin pale but her breathing steady. Milo froze at the doorway, hands gripping the robot keychain so tightly it left a red mark on his palm. Go on, Noah murmured. The boy stepped forward, climbing carefully onto the chair beside the bed. He reached for her hand, small fingers curling over hers. Mom? Anna didn't stir, but her hand twitched faintly under his. Milo leaned close, whispering words Noah couldn't hear. The sight caught Noah's breath. This boy who had carried himself through fluorescent nights, now anchored by the one person who mattered most. Noah stepped back, giving space. His gaze drifted to the intake slip folded in his pocket, now soft and worn. A symbol of a system that too often left kids like Milo adrift. His phone buzzed. A message from Rafi, the board member. Press pushback on your social project. We'll talk optics this afternoon. Noah's jaw tightened. He silenced the phone without replying. There were more important optics here. Ms. Patel leaned against the wall beside him, speaking low. Most CEOs don't spend nights in family rooms. I'm not most, Noah said quietly. And if our work can't notice kids like him, then what are we building it for? She studied him for a moment, then smiled faintly. I'll hold you to that. At Anna's bedside, Milo, finally, leaned his head against her arm, his eyes closing, exhaustion catching him again. The robot keychain slipped onto the blanket, its cracked plastic glinting under hospital light. Noah watched, a memory pressing against him, the diner booth, the kindness of strangers, the sense that someone saw him. And now, a boy and his mother needed more than memory. They needed systems that noticed. And, in that quiet hospital room, Noah knew exactly where his next fight with the board would begin. By afternoon, Noah found himself in a conference room 2 floors down, the sterile scent of the hospital still clinging to him. His laptop sat closed on the table, untouched. Across from him, Rafi leaned back in his chair, scrolling through slides on his tablet. This story about you at Harborview is going to leak, Rafi said bluntly. You know that, right? Social services, children in hospitals, vouchers, those words next to CEO light up headlines. Our investors won't like the association. Noah sat steady, hoodie still damp from last night's drizzle. What they'll see is a system that failed to notice a 6-year-old waiting under fluorescent lights. If that's bad optics, maybe we're looking through the wrong lens. Rafi sighed. It's not about right or wrong. It's about focus. Stay in your lane. Build AI models. Leave hunger to nonprofits. Noah leaned forward, hazel eyes sharp. If we can predict markets down to the minute, we can build tools to make sure kids eat after 8 p.m. That is our lane. Because our lane is humanity, the room went still. He thought of Milo, blanket around his shoulders, whispering that the beeps sounded like families about to eat. He thought of Anna, unconscious but fighting. He thought of the intake slip in his pocket, fragile paper holding too much weight. Noah, Rafi pressed, softer this time. You're a CEO, not a caseworker. Don't confuse the two. Noah's smirk appeared. Subtle, disruptive, the one his team knew well. I'm both, when the system leaves a child invisible. Before Rafi could respond, Noah's phone buzzed. A message from Ms. Patel. Anna's awake, asking for Milo. Noah stood, gathering his bag. Meeting's over. Real people need me. He walked out, leaving Rafi staring after him. Back upstairs, the family room door stood ajar. Inside, Anna sat propped against the pillows, pale but alert. Her dark hair framed a face lined with exhaustion and guarded suspicion. Milo, perched beside her, clutching her hand, robot keychain pressed between their palms. Her eyes flicked to Noah as he stepped in. Who are you? Noah stopped short of the cot, voice calm. Noah Sterling. I found Milo at Harbor Mart last night, made sure he got here safe. Her gaze hardened, defensive. Why? People don't just do that. Noah nodded. You're right. Too often they don't. But I wasn't leaving him in a store by himself. Milo piped up, urgent. He bought me rolls and chicken, Mom. He stayed all night. He didn't leave. Anna's eyes softened a fraction at Milo's. Words, but suspicion lingered. And now? What do you want? Noah shook his head. Nothing. Everything I've offered goes through Ms. Patel, the hospital, the fund. No strings, no hidden deals. Ms. Patel stepped in then, her tone brisk. He's telling the truth. I've already arranged meal credits, housing support, and a case manager. He signed as emergency contact until you're stable, but you'll have full control. Anna looked from Ms. Patel to Milo, then back at Noah. Silence stretched, thick with unspoken questions. Finally she exhaled, shoulders sinking. I don't trust rich men, not after what life's shown me, but Milo's safe. And that matters. Noah inclined his head, accepting the boundary. That's all I wanted. Milo squeezed her hand, whispering fiercely, He's not like the others, Mom. He listened. Anna brushed her son's curls back, her hand trembling slightly. She turned her gaze back to Noah, wary but softer now. If you mean to help, do it where the light reaches others too. Not just us. Noah felt the words anchor deep. That's the plan. As Milo leaned against his mother, clutching the cracked robot between them, Noah knew this was no longer just about one boy or one night. It was about building a city that noticed its invisible, and he was ready for the fight that would follow. 2 days later, the hospital family room had shifted from crisis into a fragile routine. Milo sat at the low table, doodling robots on a kid-safe iPad that Ms. Patel had fetched from the Child Life office. He hummed softly, every so often glancing toward his mother's room down the hall, reassured each time he saw the open door. Noah sat nearby with his laptop closed, sipping hospital coffee that tasted of cardboard. He wasn't here for work. He was here because Milo expected him to be, and somehow that mattered more than any board agenda. Anna had regained enough strength to walk a few steps, her color returning bit by bit, but her eyes stayed guarded whenever Noah entered, as if waiting for the hidden catch. That morning, she called him in while Milo was busy drawing. Her voice was thin but steady. I need to understand why. You're a CEO. I know what those people want. Nothing is free. Noah set his cup down, choosing his words carefully. When I was Milo's age, I used to sit in a diner at night while my mom worked the grill. Some nights people noticed me, slid me pancakes, made sure I wasn't invisible. It saved me more than I can explain. I don't want Milo growing up thinking no one sees him. Anna studied him, her suspicion flickering with curiosity. So, this is about your past? It's about not repeating it, Noah said quietly. Every meal voucher, every contact goes through the hospital. I don't want your gratitude. I just want systems that keep kids safe when the rest of us look away. Her fingers traced the edge of her blanket. She wanted to believe him, but life had taught her to be wary. If I accept help, it has to be on my terms. Not yours, then. Make them, Noah replied simply. I'll back them. The door opened and Milo bounded in, holding up his iPad with a grin. Look, Mom. I made the robot say our names. The screen showed a clumsy drawing, a smiling robot with Milo in block letters and Anna written just above its chest. At the bottom, he had scrawled Noah, missing the H. Anna's lips curved despite herself. That's us? Yeah, Milo said proudly. He's helping. Her gaze lingered on the sketch, then on Noah. Something in her expression eased. Just a fraction, but real. That afternoon, Ms. Patel outlined the plan in the family room. Short-term housing will be ready when Anna is discharged. Food credits will last 3 months. Job coaching starts next week, and Noah has offered to cover the pilot vouchers for other families. Anna listened, still cautious. And if I say no? Then it goes to someone else, Ms. Patel said, but the safety net stays. That's the point silence stretched. Finally, Anna nodded slowly. Then, we'll try, Milo beamed, clutching his robot keychain. See, Mom? It's working. Later that evening, as the city's drizzle blurred the hospital windows, Milo handed Noah the keychain without warning. Hold it while I sleep. So, you remember to eat dinner too? Noah froze, the cracked plastic warm in his hand. He looked at the boy curled under his blanket, already drifting toward dreams. The gesture struck deeper than any boardroom victory. He clipped the keychain onto his backpack loop, the circle no longer empty. For the first time in a long while, he felt like the boy in the diner had finally been answered. The drizzle outside turned to a steady rain by the time Noah walked into the lattice-mined boardroom the next morning. The contrast was stark. Steel and glass walls, sleek chairs, a digital ticker flashing KPIS. He wore the same hoodie and jeans as always, but something in his posture had changed. The cracked robot keychain hung from his backpack loop, clicking softly against the chair when he set it down. Rafi leaned forward, tapping a tablet. We can't afford distractions. Investors are hearing chatter. Your name, hospitals, free meals. It looks like charity, not innovation. Noah's gaze swept the table, steady and unflinching. If our AI can't reduce hunger and loneliness in our own city, then what exactly are we building it for? The room went quiet, the kind of silence that meant people were waiting for someone else to speak first. PR nightmares, another board member muttered. We're not in the welfare business. Noah's voice sharpened, calm but cutting. We're in the human business. Technology without compassion is just code. Last week, a child waited under fluorescent lights at a grocery store because no system caught him. That is failure, and it's one I won't ignore. Rafi raised a brow. So what's your proposal? Noah leaned forward, fingers laced. The after-hours meal pass. A privacy-protecting QR code. Any partner grocery can scan it to deliver a day. Hot entree, fruit, and water. After 8 p.m. Funded by us. No shame, no questions asked. Murmurs erupted. One board member scoffed. You want us to bankroll dinner lines? No, Noah said evenly. I want us to prove A, I can connect resources to people before systems collapse. Redemption rates, referral conversions. We measure impact like any product, and if it scales, it changes lives quietly. Isn't that what innovation should mean? Silence again, but this time less certain. Rafi exhaled, exasperated, but resigned. Fine. Pilot it, but keep it contained. Optics still matter. Noah smirked faintly. Optics matter less than children eating, and for once I'll stake my name on that. When the meeting ended, he should have felt drained. Instead, he felt lighter. The robot keychain swung from his backpack as he left, the cracked plastic clicking with each step like a small, steady drumbeat. That night, back at Harborview, Milo waited in the family room with a stack of crayons. "I made a new robot," he said proudly, holding up a drawing. It had 3 arms, each holding food: bread, soup, fruit. At the bottom, Milo had scrawled, "It feeds people." Anna sat beside him, her color stronger, though her eyes still studied Noah with caution. "He's been talking about robots all day." Noah smiled, crouching to eye level with Milo. "Good tester instincts. We'll need those." Milo beamed. Then, almost shyly, he asked, "Will you still be here tomorrow?" Noah nodded without hesitation. "I will." Anna's gaze lingered, something unspoken in her silence. Distrust hadn't vanished, but neither had the gratitude she tried to hide. Noah stood, slipping the drawing into his bag beside the keychain. 2 fragile symbols, one cracked plastic, one scribbled in crayon. Both carried the same truth. People weren't invisible if someone chose to notice. And in that moment, under the hospital's humming lights, Noah knew the fight wasn't just about systems or optics. It was about Milo, Anna, and every quiet face waiting under harsh fluorescent bulbs. Rain streaked down the glass walls of Noah's office as the boardroom echoes lingered in his mind. He sat at his desk, hoodie sleeves rolled up, staring at the robot drawing Milo had given him. 3 arms, bread, soup, fruit. A child's sketch, but in its simplicity was a blueprint more honest than most of the slide decks piled on his desk. His phone buzzed again. Rafi. Another warning about optics. He ignored it. Instead, he opened a new document. Title: After Hours Meal Pass. Pilot Roadmap. Fingers flew over the keyboard. He laid out the flow. QRR codes distributed through discrete hospital referrals, scannable at participating groceries. Hot entree, fruit, water, privacy-preserving, no names required. Redemption rates tracked as key performance indicators. Each successful scan feeding both a person and the data model that could prove impact. By noon, he had 3 partner grocers signed on, 2 nonprofits curious, and a lattice mind engineer pinging him, "Are we really doing this?" "Yes," Noah typed back. "Ship it." Later that day, he returned to Harborview. Anna was sitting up in bed, her hair brushed back, face still tired but more alive. Milo sat curled at the foot of the bed, robot keychain dangling between his fingers, eyes lighting up when Noah walked in. "Hey," Noah said, setting his bag down. "I've got something to show you." He pulled up the prototype QR code on his phone, a simple black and white square. "This is what we'll use. Groceries will scan it and give families hot food after hours. No questions, no judgment." Milo leaned forward, fascinated. "Like robot magic?" "Exactly," Noah said with a grin. "Invisible help that just works." Anna's eyes narrowed, suspicion not gone. "And you're funding this? Out of your own pocket?" "For now," Noah answered. "Then the company. It's not charity, it's infrastructure." She studied him long, as if trying to find the crack where his words would crumble, but Milo tugged her sleeve. "Mom, it means no. More waiting under lights. It means we can go home." Her hand closed over his, trembling faintly. She looked back at Noah, weary but softer. "I don't know how to trust this, but I can't deny what it means to him." Noah's smirk softened into something quieter. Trust doesn't have to happen all at once. Just let the system do its job. That evening, Noah sat in the family lounge, laptop open, as nurses passed by. He coded tweaks to the chatbot interface, integrating shelter maps and food banks into the meal pass. All the while, he kept an eye on Milo, who was sprawled on the carpet with crayons, humming to himself as he drew another robot, this one with a heart scribbled in its chest. Hours later, Anna wheeled herself into the lounge, her steps careful but determined. She looked at Noah bent over the screen, Milo asleep with his crayons, the robot drawing crumpled in his fist. "You don't stop, do you?" she said quietly. Noah glanced up, eyes tired but bright. "Neither do you." Something unspoken passed between them. Two people who had carried more weight than they should, now caught in the fragile balance of trust and doubt. And for the first time, Anna didn't look away. The pilot launched quietly the following week. No press releases, no ribbon cuttings, just QR codes discreetly distributed through hospital family rooms, shelters, and a few trusted social workers. Noah insisted it begin small. Just 5 partner groceries across Seattle. The first night, he and a junior engineer named Plea sat in the office past midnight, watching the dashboard light up. The numbers climbed slowly. 2 redemptions, then 10, then 40. Each one meant a hot meal in someone's hands, unseen but real. 40 families, Plea whispered, in just one night. Noah leaned back, rubbing his eyes. That's 40 who didn't have to linger under fluorescent lights. By the end of the week, the number passed 300. KPIs they could graph, proof they could scale. But the pushback came just as fast. At Friday's board call, Rafi's voice was clipped. Optics are getting noisy. Local reporters are sniffing around. They think you're using AI to run a soup kitchen. That's not what they bought into, Noah answered calmly. They bought into systems that solve real problems. And right now, people are choosing between food and dignity. We can't ignore that optics matter, Rafi snapped. Noah let a smirk tug at his mouth. Optics matter less than children eating. The call ended with thinly veiled frustration, but Noah didn't care. He already had another meeting scheduled, with a grocery chain ready to expand the pilot. That weekend, he returned to Harborview. Anna had been moved to a step-down unit, her strength slowly returning. She sat at the window with Milo beside her, both watching the drizzle blur the city skyline. Milo bounded up when he saw Noah waving the robot keychain. "We saw your code thing. Ms. Patel showed us. People are getting food." Anna's gaze stayed cautious, but there was a flicker of something else. Relief, maybe. Respect, unwilling but growing. "You really did it," she said softly. Noah shrugged. "We did it." Milo was the first tester. Milo grinned at that, clutching his robot tighter. Anna tilted her head, studying Noah. "Why risk your reputation for strangers?" "Don't you have enough pressure already?" Noah's voice dropped, steady and low. "Because, when I was a kid, someone noticed me." That act changed the course of my life. If I can build systems that make noticing automatic, then kids like Milo don't have to depend on luck. Silence hung heavy. Anna turned back to the window, her hand resting lightly on Milo's shoulder. Her voice, when it came, was quieter. "Maybe you're not like the men I've known." It wasn't trust yet, but it wasn't rejection either. That evening, Milo fell asleep on the couch in the family room, a school supply catalog open on his chest, the robot keychain resting against his cheek. Noah gently eased the catalog from his hands and set it aside. He clipped the robot back to his bag, the cracked plastic tapping softly as he zipped it closed. The loop no longer felt empty, and as the lights dimmed, he realized the fight with the board, the pilot's success, even the optics. They all traced back to this moment. A boy asleep under a blanket, no longer invisible. Anna's room smelled faintly of ginger tea when Noah returned the next morning. Someone, probably Ms. Patel, had left a steaming cup on the tray. Anna sat propped up, flipping through a worn notebook, her pen scratching carefully. Milo sat on the edge of the bed, swinging his legs, doodling on scrap paper. He brightened when he saw Noah. "Look, I made another robot." He held up a sketch where the robot carried a grocery bag in one hand and held a heart in the other. Anna glanced at the drawing, then at Noah. Her voice was hesitant. "He hasn't stopped since you gave him that iPad app." "Keeps talking about robots saving people." Noah crouched beside Milo. "Robots can't save people, but they can remind us to see each other." Milo nodded solemnly, like that was enough. When Anna looked back down at her notebook, Noah noticed the list written in neat, small letters. Job leads, housing options, budget math scrawled in the margins. She caught him noticing and closed it quickly. I don't want to depend on anyone. Not even you won't, Noah said softly. This isn't about dependence. It's about support until you're steady. That's what systems are supposed to do. She studied him long, her gaze still guarded but less sharp than before. You talk like someone who knows what it feels like to be dropped. Noah leaned back against the chair. I do. He told her, briefly, about the diner, about nights waiting in booths, about strangers who sometimes saw him. His voice carried no embellishment, just the plain truth. For the first time, Anna's expression softened into something other than suspicion. So that's why you stayed. That's why I'll keep staying, Noah said. A knock interrupted them. Ms. Patel, stepping in with a clipboard. Good news. Discharge papers for tomorrow. Housing is arranged. Meal pass credits are loaded. Job coach referral confirmed. She handed Anna the packet. Anna's hand trembled as she took it. Relief flickered, tangled with pride and worry. It's a lot, she whispered. It's a start, Ms. Patel replied gently. That evening, Milo sat in the family room with Noah, crayons spread across the table. He drew another robot, then pushed it toward Noah. This one's for you. But you can't lose it. Noah folded the page carefully, slipping it into his bag beside the keychain. I won't. Later, when Milo was half asleep, Anna stood in the doorway. She watched Noah drape the blanket over his son's shoulders. Her voice was low, almost reluctant. You've done more than enough. You could walk away now. Noah met her eyes, his tone steady. Some things you don't walk away from. She held his gaze longer than she ever had. Before, then nodded once. Not a promise, not forgiveness, but trust. Fragile, growing, alive. And as Milo's breathing evened out, the cracked robot keychain clicked softly against Noah's bag as if reminding him, this wasn't over. This was the beginning. Discharge day dawned gray. The kind of Seattle morning where drizzle smudged the skyline into watercolor. Anna stood by the bed in the borrowed clothes, her discharge packet tucked under one arm, her face pale but determined. Milo buzzed around her like a restless shadow, clutching the robot keychain. Noah arrived early, a canvas tote slung over his shoulder. Morning, he said, setting it on the table. Inside were notebooks, pencils, colored markers, a backpack small enough for Milo. School supply kit. Figured you'd need it. Milo's eyes widened. He dug through the bag, pulling out each item like treasure. Mom, look! A real sketch pad. Anna's mouth tightened, emotion flickering across her face. You didn't have to. I know, Noah said, evenly. But I wanted to. Ms. Patel entered with final instructions, her voice brisk. Housing unit is ready. Job coach meeting on Tuesday. Meal pass credits are live, and you've got a case manager assigned. She glanced at Noah. He'll stay emergency contact for now. Anna nodded, her hand gripping the packet tighter. All right. As they walked through the hospital corridors, Milo slipped his small hand into Noah's. The gesture was instinctive, unthinking, but it rooted Noah in place. For a moment he saw himself at 7 again, holding no one's hand, waiting in a diner booth under fluorescent light. He swallowed hard and squeezed Milo's hand gently. Outside, the air smelled of wet pavement and exhaust. A rideshare van idled at the curb, trunk open for their bags. Milo hopped inside with his new backpack, clutching both the robot keychain and his sketch pad. Anna lingered by the door, her eyes on Noah. You've given us a lot, she said carefully. I don't know if I can ever balance that. Scale. Noah shook his head. You don't have to. Just take care of him. That's enough. Milo leaned out the window, waving the keychain. Don't forget dinner, Noah. Noah smiled, tapping the loop on his backpack where the keychain hung. I won't. As the van pulled away, Anna's gaze met his one last time, still guarded, but softer, carrying something like reluctant gratitude. When the van turned the corner, Noah stood alone in the drizzle. The weight in his chest felt different. Not hollow anymore, but heavy with responsibility. He pulled the folded robot drawing from his bag, running a thumb over the crayon lines. In the distance, his phone buzzed with board messages. Reporters asking questions. Metrics needing review. But all he could think of was Milo's voice. "Don't forget dinner." He clipped the cracked keychain back to his bag and whispered to himself, steady as a vow, "I won't." Then he turned, walking back toward Lattice Mind. The fight for systems that noticed the invisible had only just begun. 1 month later, the numbers told a story no investor deck could ignore. The pilot had delivered 1,800 late-night meals across Seattle. Grocery managers reported fewer kids lingering under bright lights after closing time. Shelters saw smoother intakes. The dashboard in Noah's office glowed with data points that weren't just statistics. They were lives steadied, nights eased. The board had quieted, at least for now. Reporters still pressed, asking if it was PR. Noah's answer never changed. "This isn't charity. It's baseline. The minimum for a decent city." But the truth of it wasn't in the numbers or the headlines. It was in the small moments. At a Saturday check-in, Anna walked into the community center with Milo bouncing at her side. She looked healthier, color back in her face, clothes neat from the job coach referral she'd accepted. She carried herself cautiously, but her eyes held something lighter. Milo ran up, waving a flyer from his school. "We get free breakfast now." "2. I told them about the robot passes." Noah laughed, crouching to eye level. "Sounds like you're running PR for us." Anna lingered nearby, her arms crossed. She still hadn't learned how to relax around him fully, but there was less edge in her tone. "We're managing. Slowly, but—" "Thank you." Noah nodded, not pressing. "You don't owe me gratitude. Just keep building forward." Milo tugged at his sleeve, holding out the cracked robot keychain. "I want you to keep it on your bag." "So, you remember us." Noah unclipped it, held it in his palm, and then fastened it back to the stitched loop on his backpack. "It stays." Always, that afternoon, he returned to Lattice Mind. The office buzzed with engineers tuning algorithms, the scent of coffee and whiteboards thick in the air. He slung his backpack onto the chair, the little robot dangling against the fabric. A few employees noticed it, curious, but Noah offered no explanation. Some symbols didn't need context. They just needed to stay. As he powered up his laptop, the memory of Milo's words came back. The beeps sound like families about to eat. Now those beeps were meals redeemed, families seen, loneliness interrupted by something as simple as hot soup after dark. He smiled faintly, the smirk of someone who'd fought, lost sleep, faced pushback, and still knew it was worth it. Then he turned back to the work ahead, because there were more systems to build, more invisible people to notice. And somewhere in Seattle, a boy with a sketchpad full of robots was counting on him.